a week ago, I took a little trip out to the K-Town Collectables Expo in Kahnawake, Quebec to see what really cool things could I find. In this video, I'm going to do my best to show you what the real Collectables Expo experience was all about. Was it worth it? And did I come away with anything? Let's take a look. We showed up about 5 minutes into the expo, or when the doors opened, and we're flabbergasted to see the amount of cars that were there already. Now, the line was pretty far down the parking lot, but honestly, it only took a few minutes before we got in, which was fantastic. And once we got in, we were greeted by these robots. I can't recall the TV series because it's not of my generation, but they were pretty cool and entertaining the crowd, and it was very much appreciated. The first booth we saw when we turned the corner was this one right here. So the business model, it was selling old TV shows, commercials, things like this that they would put on VHS tapes. This next booth caught my eye because they were selling all these masks that the owner put together. Makeup Billy, they were fantastic. Not something that I was looking for, but they all look really cool, and if anybody wants to prepare for Halloween, this was the place to get it. At this next booth, I saw a bunch of vintage Mario figures. Unfortunately, I had every one of these, except for this one right here, this Princess Peach figure that I hadn't seen before. I asked the owner how much they wanted, and they said $20. That apparently was a really good deal, but I don't know. I left it there. This booth had a bunch of old vintage cards, which really drew my eye. I mean, the Alf, Roger Rabbit, Batman, even MASH to a certain point. I was very tempted, but I decided I didn't need any more cards. At this booth, this gentleman had a ton of different things. Unfortunately, I did not see anything I wanted, and I was pretty perplexed by the way they displayed their games. There was a lot of wrestling figures, cards, commemorative things also at this show that I thought I'd show you wrestling fans out there. Even these magazines, these pro wrestling magazines, not something I was interested in either, unfortunately. There was also live wrestling, which unfortunately I did not get to see because we were only there for so long. These TV trays caught my eye, especially the Transformers one. Thing was, I wasn't sure if it really was vintage, and secondly, I don't generally eat in front of the TV, so I left it there. I found this next booth full of different candies, pickles, weird 5-pound gummy bears. I don't know what child was eating these that day, but they went home with a very upset stomach. One of my favorite things to do is dig through these buckets that a lot of the sellers had at the convention. A lot of them had 2 for $5, 1 for $5, 2 for $10. It was pretty interesting, but I did not seem to find anything that I needed for the collection. This seller had a ton of Godzilla figures, different monsters, things like that. I was super tempted. They even had some vintage ones, but they can get very, very pricey. I grew up loving Transformers, and this show had tons of them. Multiple generations from G1 all the way to whatever they call now. You can see that they were in abundance there, various prices, various conditions, and very tempting. The thing with Transformers is they can take up a whole lot of space. So while it was great to see, I didn't end up picking up any of these. If you're someone like me who just wants to pick up something fun, tables like these were also there, where all you had to do was dig. And you know when you're at a table and you have to dig that you're going to get great prices. For the serious collectors out there, they had these vintage toys, Hercules, Warriors of the World, Galaxy Heroes. These are things I wasn't looking for, but it was amazing to see just the value of these old toys. Oh, and let's not forget the Gargoyles figures. Big shout out to those. I see them all the time, but these ones were fairly complete, which is pretty rare to see today. For all you He-Man and She-Ra fans out there, there was even one booth selling a bunch of He-Man toys, various vintages, a lot of different accessories, napkins, plates. They had the comic books, everything that a vintage collector of He-Man and She-Ra could ever want. This next item blew me away. It was a vintage turtle pinball game from, I believe, the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. I had never seen this before. Sorry for the shot, I'm still trying to get used to my new camera, but I was wondering myself, what child was able to convince their parents to pick this up for them? Because I know I definitely did not have one of these. This next toy was the Thundercats lair, so an old 80s cartoon. This thing has spiked in value to hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I thought it was pretty cool to see it at this show. For all you Pokemon fans, there were tons of games and cards to be had as well. It didn't take much searching because most of the vendors were selling them at this event. One of my favorite finds was this bootleg Mario. Unfortunately, I decided not to get it, but something about it just drew me in. Another super cool find was this Canadian Tire ice truck. If it wasn't so yellowed, I might have got it for the collection. Take a look at these vintage Smurfs. I don't know if they're supposed to be that color. They look pretty gray to me, but I had never seen them before, and they just were amazing. And I'm not a Smurf person. This next booth was full of 3D-printed Pokeball / Pokemon figure things. I'm not sure what they were, but they really drew my eye. If you ever wanted to live in the Star Wars universe and couldn't get there, well, they had you covered. They had these lightsabers here that were fully customized, different colors, lighting, all that. And it was just amazing to see all the options. And of course, we had a little droid in the back with, I believe his name is Grogu? This place was fully decked out. They had a little blow-up area kids could play on, a wrestling mat that there were eventually wrestling matches that we unfortunately missed, but look at the size and the amount of booths that were there. People were eating, having fun, buying collectibles. I was very impressed with the whole setup. Once we left, we went right back outside. It was full of food trucks. We picked up some tacos. It was amazing. This is the final shot of the day. I know I had a great time, and you could tell they put a lot of effort into this event. The first item I came away with is this wireless Whizmaster for Nintendo. Whizmaster. Fool this man! The Whizmaster came, first of all, with its box, and then we also get the wireless adapter that I guess you put on top of your television. Not entirely sure. No paperwork. And the controller with, all different kind of, rapid fire and an awful D-pad, it kind of looks like. Inside there were batteries. Luckily, there was no corrosion, so I'm assuming at some time the former owner was just, well, testing it out. Something else I picked up was this copy of the Classics collection of Doom from Limited Run Software. So it came in this little, plastic protective case. This is brand new. This is sealed, and honestly, I'm just a Doom fanboy, and I've always loved the games. I don't plan on opening this up, yes. And I did not pay this for this game. I do not plan on opening this up because, let's face facts, I can play Doom anywhere I want. I have it on Switch Online. I have plenty of copies of other Doom for different systems, so this is going to be shelf filler, pretty much. Next up is this official Nintendo hard case, where you could store your games if you want to bring them to a friend's house. I picked this up at a steal of a deal, pretty much paid almost nothing if you ask me. Very happy with this. I always have a thing with these collector cases. I just find them super cool. The next item is technically, well, 4 items are these right here. So these I remember from my childhood, and I believe these were given out at McDonald's. I'm fairly certain, as you can see.
Attention, Earth parents, the Commandrons are here. The Commandrons, mighty robots that can disguise themselves as vehicles, fighting for goodness and right, if they can avoid the forces of darkness. Your job, help your children collect all 4 different Commandron robots, each one only 99 cents with any food purchase at McDonald's.
Kids, we must gather the Commandron robot team before it's too late.
Yeah!
Come on, let's go to McDonald's. The forces of goodness and right can always count on the Murphy family.
I do have some already in my collection, as you can see right back there, all the red and blue ones. But when I saw that these were in box, I couldn't say no. I never come across these in the box, and the boxes are just so cool. So these more than likely will be staying in the collection, and these might be either given away to a collector's friend or, well, we'll see. When it comes to games, I am on the quest to get, well, as many of the NES games as I can. I believe I'm at 330, 350, something like that. Yeah, there's a lot. So it's getting harder and harder to find games I don't have. I didn't, for some reason, have Burger Time. Ignore that. That is not the price I paid. It is a 5-screw game, if that makes any difference to any of you. Generally just means it's an older game. It's in fairly good condition. Got it at a pretty good price. I'm happy to add this to the collection. And can you guess what the next item is? Well, if you said the Super Mario Bros. Trading Cards Summer 1993 entire collection, you'd be right. Again, I got this at what I feel was a very, very good price. The cards are in perfect condition. They have different information about the different characters that you would see in the movie. That awful, awful movie that I love to watch so much. It also has 3 foil cards, I believe. It is a complete set, and this is going to be added on to the Mario shelf that I have elsewhere in my game room. And those are the pickups I got for 2025 from the K-Town Collectible Expo. Now, was it worth it to go to the K-Town Collectible Expo? Yeah, I give it a solid 10 out of 10 for a convention. I think the price to get in was about $5 for adult, and children under 10 were free. And honestly, it was worth every penny. The difference this year was it was a 1-day event, where in the past it was 2 days. So if you didn't make it on that Sunday, you knew you were not going to be able to see anything like that for a whole nother year. I got to give props to these 3 people right here. Their names are, I believe, William Rice, Eric Raffinell, and Mike Braithwaite. So the 3 of them put on a fantastic expo. I'm already looking forward to next year because honestly, I believe this is the best expo we have for this kind of thing in Quebec. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.